The galaxy had been silent about Earth for years. After the human wars and the fall of their colonies, most alien empires believed the humans were finished. Their fleets were gone. Their planets were empty. Their signals had faded. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity was just a story told to young cadets, a warning about what happens when a species grows too fast and reaches too far. But on the red world of Mars, something strange was happening. For 10 years, quiet energy signals had been coming from beneath the planet's surface. The readings were small at first, barely noticeable. But now, they were growing powerful enough to be seen from across the solar system. Alien probes tried to get close, but every one of them disappeared without a trace. No debris. No explosion. Just, gone. In the hidden tunnels under Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system, hundreds of humans worked in silence. The air was filled with dust and the hum of machines. Red light reflected from metal walls. At the center of it all stood General Marcus Hale, a man built for war. His uniform was worn, his eyes cold. He had seen Earth burn, and he swore it would never happen again. Beside him was Dr. Emily Cross, a scientist with more questions than answers. She wasn't a soldier. She was a builder, a dreamer, and the only one who truly understood the thing they were creating. They called it Project Red Dawn. On the surface, it looked like an energy reactor. But deep inside, it was something far greater and far more dangerous. Power levels are stable, Emily said, looking at her tablet. The core is awake. Marcus nodded slowly. Good. Keep it that way. We're on schedule. She hesitated. General, we're not supposed to wake it fully yet. The fusion matrix isn't. He interrupted her with a cold voice. Every delay gives the aliens more time to prepare. We finish this now. Emily sighed. And if it goes wrong? Marcus looked at her. Then we go down with it. Better that than being slaves again. She turned away, unable to answer. Above them, huge robotic cranes moved silently, lowering silver panels into place. The walls of the underground chamber pulsed with blue light. The entire base vibrated softly, like a sleeping giant taking its first breath. In another chamber, engineers from every human nation worked side by side. They wore no flags. No insignias. Only one symbol, a burning red sun, the mark of Project Red Dawn. For years, they had built in secret. Every ship that came to Mars was disguised as a mining vessel. Every satellite was reprogrammed to hide their energy readings. And somehow, it had worked. Until now. In the far reaches of space, on the bridge of a Valkyrie Empire patrol ship, Commander Zareth stared at the data screen in disbelief. Energy spike detected, said the AI voice. Origin, Mars. Zareth frowned. That planet is dead. It has been for decades. The AI responded, the signal is human in design. The alien's eyes narrowed. Impossible. But then, another alert sounded. One of their scout ships had just vanished near the red planet. The transmission ended mid-sentence, leaving behind only static. Zareth turned to his officers. Send word to the Emperor, he said darkly. The humans are not gone. Back on Mars, the base's main chamber shook as power levels climbed higher. The lights flickered. Metal screamed. Emily ran across the room to a console, her voice rising in panic. The core is overloading. Marcus, we need to shut it down. But Marcus stood firm. His hand hovered over the control panel, eyes locked on the glowing sphere of light at the center. Not yet, he said softly. Let it show us what it can do. The air around the core shimmered. Objects began to float. The light grew brighter, white-hot, until everyone had to shield their eyes. Then silence. The machine stopped. The lights went dark. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the soft hiss of air filled the room. Then, a faint blue glow returned to the core. It was steady now. Alive. Emily whispered, "It stabilized itself." Marcus smiled for the first time in years. "Then it's ready." At that same moment, across the galaxy, alien communication networks detected a burst of unknown energy. It spread faster than light, bouncing from star to star. Every military command post received the same message, a code, written in an ancient human format. No one could decode it. But the message carried one clear signature: origin, Mars. Panic began to spread. The Velcari Empire, the Thorn Collective, the Aurelus Union, all ancient and powerful alien factions, ordered immediate scans of the solar system. What they saw made them afraid. Dozens of strange towers were rising from Mars' surface, each one glowing faintly red. Their shapes matched no known weapon. But they all pointed outward toward the stars. Deep underground, Marcus stood beside the glowing core, looking at the red sun symbol on the wall. He turned to Emily and said quietly, "The galaxy thinks humanity is broken. They're wrong. We're not broken, we're rebuilding." Emily looked at the core, its light reflecting in her eyes. "And what happens when they find out what we built?" she asked. Marcus smiled, a grim, cold smile. "Then we'll remind them why they feared us." Above the surface, a thin beam of red light shot into the sky, piercing the thin Martian atmosphere and reaching into the void of space. Every alien sensor across the galaxy turned toward Mars. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt fear. A crimson beam from Mars reached far into the darkness of space. It was thin, silent, and short-lived, but every sensor in the galaxy caught it. At first, the aliens thought it was a mining explosion or a solar flare. But then came the wave. Across the void, hundreds of ships, satellites, and listening posts suddenly went dark. Systems stopped working. Navigation failed. Entire fleets drifted helplessly. No one understood what had happened. Only one thing was clear: the pulse came from Mars. Deep under the red dust, inside Project Red Dawn, alarms echoed through the steel corridors. Engineers shouted over the noise, their faces pale. "Power surge in Chamber 6. Magnetic shields are down. The core is rising again." Dr. Emily Cross ran into the control room, hair tangled, hands shaking. "What did you do?" she shouted. General Marcus Hale stood in front of the main console, calm and still. "I told you," he said quietly, "it's time to test it." Emily's eyes widened. "Without authorization? Marcus, you'll kill everyone here." He didn't look at her. "Sometimes, to protect humanity, you have to light a fire that scares the universe." The core chamber glowed with blue-white light. The energy sphere, Helios, pulsed like a heartbeat. Metal supports melted under invisible heat. The entire base vibrated. Emily's team worked frantically, trying to stabilize the readings. Core pressure at 180%. Radiation limit exceeded. "We can't hold it much longer." Marcus stepped closer to the observation window. The light was beautiful, bright enough to turn the walls transparent. "Run the test," he ordered. "Sir." "Do it." A trembling technician pressed the sequence code. Outside the mountain, dozens of large cannons rose from hidden bunkers. They turned skyward, aligning toward a single target, a massive asteroid orbiting near Phobos. In space, alien probes watched everything. The Velcari Empire's spy network transmitted live feeds to their war council. On the screen, they saw the surface of Mars opening like a mechanical flower. Hundreds of metal towers rotated in perfect sync, glowing red at the tips. "Are they preparing a launch?" one alien commander asked. The council leader narrowed his eyes. "No, they're preparing a strike." Back on Mars, Emily grabbed Marcus's arm. "You can't do this. We don't even know what Helios really is." Marcus's voice was low but firm. We know enough. We know it works. And we know the galaxy is watching. That's all that matters. He turned toward the microphone. All stations, prepare to fire Helios Prototype Alpha. Sirens blared. The energy sphere expanded, then contracted like it was breathing. Target locked, said a voice. Final charge in 3, 2, 1. For a moment, there was no sound. Only the vibration under their feet. Then, a blinding flash filled the chamber. A beam of pure white light shot out from Mars, striking the asteroid. There was no explosion. No fire. No debris. The asteroid was simply gone. Every molecule, every trace erased from existence. The beam cut off, leaving a dark void where rock used to be. The room fell silent. Even the machine seemed afraid to make a sound. In orbit, the alien probes recorded everything. The Valkyrie Council watched as the feed turned to static. One by one, their satellites went dark. Signal lost, said an officer. Repeat, all systems disabled. The council chamber filled with whispers. What kind of weapon is that? Did they use antimatter? No, nothing we know could erase matter like that. One alien finally spoke the truth aloud. They built something impossible. Back inside the Mars base, the core dimmed and went quiet. Smoke filled the room. Engineers coughed and cheered at the same time. It worked, one shouted. Another laughed nervously. We just erased an asteroid. Emily didn't celebrate. She stared at the readings, confused. Marcus, look at this. He leaned over her shoulder. The core's power hadn't dropped after firing, it had increased. It's recharging itself, Emily whispered. That's not possible. Marcus frowned. Then it's doing something we don't understand. Hours later, in orbit above Mars, a human satellite recorded strange activity. Energy waves were spreading from the planet, invisible to the eye, but powerful enough to bend gravity. They moved outward like ripples in a pond. When the waves touched a Valkyrie scout fleet near Jupiter, their ships flickered and vanished, gone, just like the asteroid. No explosion. No sound. Just silence. Emily watched the data, horrified. Marcus, it's not stopping. The weapon is expanding its field. Marcus looked at her calmly. Good. Good, she shouted. You're erasing ships. They'll call it genocide. They fired on Earth first, Marcus replied. His voice was cold, full of iron. They forgot what happens when humanity fights back. Far away, on the Valkyrie homeworld, panic spread through the halls of power. Messages flashed across their networks. Human weapon confirmed. Multiple fleets lost near Sol system. Containment necessary. The Emperor slammed his clawed hand against the command table. Send everything we have. Mars must be destroyed before that thing awakens again. Hundreds of warships began to mobilize. Their engines roared to life. But they didn't know Helios was already awake. On Mars, the red surface glowed faintly under the thin atmosphere. Lightning danced across the horizon. Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the base, watching the storm rise. Dr. Emily joined him, her voice soft and tired. You think this will make us safe? He didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, safety is an illusion. But fear will keep them away. She looked at him sadly. And what happens when fear turns into war? Marcus turned toward the sky. The stars reflected in his eyes. Then we'll remind them what Mars was built for. Above them, a low hum filled the air, deep, endless, almost alive. The core was pulsing again, brighter than before. And somewhere in the shadows of space, alien fleets were coming. They had no idea what waited for them. The red planet glowed faintly against the black of space. From orbit, It looked calm, almost peaceful, but every empire in the galaxy knew the truth. Mars was no longer a dead world. Helios had fired once, and whole fleets had vanished. Now, everyone feared it could happen again. In the great halls of the Valkyrie Empire, the air trembled with anger and fear. The Emperor, tall and armored in silver scales, looked at the hologram of Mars. "That small world," he growled, "dares to erase our fleets." His generals stood in silence. No one dared to speak. Finally, Admiral Korvac stepped forward. "We underestimated them, my lord. The humans have built something beyond our science." The Emperor's eyes burned. "Then we crush them before they use it again. Prepare the Armada Prime." Within hours, the largest fleet ever assembled began to move toward the solar system. 300 warships, each the size of a city. News of the coming Armada spread fast. Across the galaxy, other races panicked. The Thorn Collective promised ships. The Aurelus Union offered scouts. Everyone agreed on one thing: humanity had gone too far. But the humans said nothing. No messages, no broadcasts, no warnings. Only silence. Beneath Olympus Mons, General Marcus Hale studied a hologram of the solar system. Red dots, alien fleets, were moving closer with every passing hour. Beside him, Dr. Emily Cross watched the readings from the Helios core. Its energy continued to rise on its own. "Marcus," she said quietly, "if they attack, Helios will respond automatically. We don't even have full control anymore." He nodded. "Good. Then it knows what to do." She turned toward him, angry. "You don't understand. It's not a weapon we built, it's something alive. It learns, it adapts, it grows." Marcus's expression didn't change. "And that's exactly what humanity needs, something that grows stronger every time they try to kill us." Hours later, Mars looked like a fortress. Dozens of defense towers rose from the ground, glowing red. Massive plates unfolded from the surface, forming a ring of light around the planet. In orbit, human drones took position, creating a thin metallic web invisible unless you looked closely. Project Red Dawn had reached its final phase. Meanwhile, deep in space, the alien armada entered Neptune's orbit. The ships were enormous, covering the planet in shadow. Admiral Korvac watched from his command deck. "Activate forward cannons. The moment we enter Mars orbit, fire without warning." His second officer hesitated. "Sir, what if they surrender?" Korvac glared. "Humans do not surrender. They destroy." On Mars, Emily ran into the control center. "The fleet has reached the outer system," she shouted. "Hundreds of ships." Marcus stood silently, eyes fixed on the radar. He turned to his crew. "All personnel to defense positions. Begin core synchronization." Red lights flashed. Sirens echoed through the tunnels. The entire base shook as Helios awakened. Outside, the sky turned crimson. Minutes later, the alien fleet appeared over Mars. The sight was terrifying, endless ships glowing with blue plasma. Admiral Korvac raised his clawed hand. "Fire!" A storm of energy blasts rained down on the planet. The surface burned, mountains exploded, dust clouds rose into the thin air. But when the smoke cleared, Mars still stood. The beams had hit something, a shield made of pure light. It shimmered like glass, covering the entire planet. Korvac stared in disbelief. "Impossible." Then, a voice filled the channel, calm, human, and cold. "This is General Marcus Hale. Leave now, or be erased." Korvac hissed. "You dare threaten the Valkyrie Empire?" "No," Marcus replied. "I promise you." Helios pulsed once. A massive wave of red light spread across space, faster than any signal. Alien ships began to vanish, not explode, not burn, just vanish into nothing. One after another, entire squadrons disappeared. Korvac screamed orders, but his words never reached his crew. Communications failed, sensors went dark. In seconds, half the fleet was gone. The survivors turned to flee, engines burning bright. Inside the Mars base, Emily watched the readings rise. "Marcus, it's destroying them all. You have to stop it." Marcus shook his head. "They came to destroy us. Now they'll understand the cost." "But Helios isn't stopping," she shouted. "It's expanding its field, it's going after anything alive." Marcus turned to the core chamber. The light inside was brighter than ever, almost white now, pure and blinding. The machines around it melted. Metal dripped like water. In orbit, the last of the Valkyrie ships turned to escape. But a new wave hit them, silent, invisible. Their hulls disintegrated into dust. The fleet was gone. And then, silence. Across the galaxy, the news spread faster than light. Entire worlds watched in fear as reports came in. Valkyrie Armada Prime destroyed. No survivors. Mars remains untouched. The galaxy trembled. For the first time in history, alien empires realized they were not the top of the chain. Humanity, the species they once pitted, now held the power of extinction. Deep beneath Olympus Mons, Emily sat on the floor, exhausted. The lights flickered around her. Marcus stood beside the core chamber, watching the bright sphere slowly shrink. She whispered, "Do you feel proud?" He didn't answer. She looked up at him. "We killed thousands, Marcus." He turned, eyes empty. "No. We reminded them we're still here." On the surface, the red storm faded. Mars was quiet again. But something strange began to happen. The ground trembled. The Helios core inside the mountain started to hum, not like a machine, but like a heartbeat. Emily felt it before she heard it. "Marcus, what's it doing?" He looked up at the ceiling as dust fell around them. "It's not done," he said softly. "It's calling something." Far away, beyond the edges of known space, strange signals began to awaken, ancient machines older than any empire. They turned toward the Milky Way, responding to Helios' song. The galaxy thought the danger was over. It had only just begun. The battle was over, but Mars still glowed red. Dust clouds rolled across the surface, covering the ruins of war. The ground was cracked, blackened, and alive with energy. Helios had not just destroyed the alien fleet, it had changed the planet itself. From orbit, Mars no longer looked like stone and sand. It shimmered with a faint metallic light, as if something deep inside was spreading outward, claiming every inch of the world. Inside the hidden base beneath Olympus Mons, alarms had gone silent. The walls were cracked, wires hanging loose, smoke rising from broken consoles. The humans who survived moved slowly through the halls, shocked by what they had witnessed. Dr. Emily Cross sat beside the core chamber, staring at the sphere that had once been blue. Now it was pure white, steady, bright, and terrifying. General Marcus Hale stood beside her, silent, his uniform burned and torn. Emily finally spoke. "It's not cooling down. The energy output is climbing again." Marcus looked at the data screens. "How high?" "Too high," she said. "It's not just power anymore. It's broadcasting something." He frowned. "Broadcasting?" She nodded. "Across every frequency, radio, subspace, even quantum bands. It's sending a message." Marcus's voice hardened. "To who?" Emily looked up, fear in her eyes. "To everyone." Across the galaxy, communication networks blinked and froze. Every screen, every hologram, every device flickered, showing static, then a single image. A red sun. And then a voice followed. "Calm, clear, human. This is General Marcus Hale of Mars Command. To all empires, all species, and all who hear this message, humanity is awake. Alien rulers stopped their meetings. Soldiers froze mid-step. The voice continued. You came to our home. You burned our worlds. You erased our people. Now you will remember us. The red sun symbol pulsed slowly on every screen. Mars is off limits. Earth is off limits. Any who enter our system will face Helios. There will be no warning next time. Then, the broadcast ended. In the throne room of the Valkyrie Emperor, silence filled the air. The once mighty ruler stared at the empty space where his fleets used to be. His advisors whispered in fear. Helios destroyed the Armada. They can wipe out worlds. What if they come for us? The Emperor's claws trembled. He whispered, we have awakened something we cannot control. Across the galaxy, other empires came to the same conclusion. They withdrew their fleets. They shut down their scanners. They erased every plan to approach the solar system. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy was afraid. Back on Mars, the light from the core filled every tunnel. The walls no longer looked like rock, they shimmered like living metal. Emily watched in horror. Marcus, the structure is changing. Mars is becoming part of the weapon. He didn't move. Then Helios is completing itself. She grabbed his arm. Don't you see? We can't control it anymore. It's rewriting the planet's surface, merging with the crust. Marcus stared at the pulsing core. Maybe that's what it was meant to do. Emily's voice cracked. You think this is destiny? You think this is what humanity is supposed to be, a planet full of death? Marcus turned to her, his face calm but empty. I think this is survival. Above the planet, strange lights began to orbit. Drones and satellites once built by humans were now glowing red. They moved on their own, forming patterns in the sky. Every piece of metal, every signal, every trace of technology, all of it was now linked to Helios. Mars had become alive. At that moment, deep in the Aurelius Union, a scientist studied the broadcast recordings. He played back the Helios signal frame by frame, trying to decode the red pulses between the words. What he found froze his blood. Hidden inside Marcus's message was another layer of code. Not human. Not alien. Something far older. It wasn't just a warning, it was a key. The scientist whispered to his team, Helios didn't just speak to us. It spoke to something else. In the Mars control room, Emily's hands shook as she stared at the readings. Marcus, I've translated part of the signal. It's not just a message. It's coordinates. He frowned. Coordinates to where? Her voice was almost a whisper. To deep space beyond the galactic rim. Marcus's eyes narrowed. What's out there? I don't know, she said. But something is responding. Hours later, new signals began to appear on the outer edges of known space. They were faint at first, small, rhythmic pulses, like distant drums. Then came light. Dozens of enormous shapes emerged from the darkness. They weren't ships. They were structures, machines so massive they bent the light around them. Alien sensors tried to scan them, but the data came back corrupted. No one could tell what they were made of or where they came from. But one thing was clear, they were coming toward the Milky Way. On Mars, the core pulsed again. Emily looked at the monitors. It's answering them. Marcus, Helios is talking to those things. He stared at the blinding light. Maybe they're the ones who built it? She whispered, and what if they want it back? Marcus didn't respond. His gaze stayed fixed on the growing light. It doesn't matter, he said finally. Humanity built Helios. It's ours now. The core roared like thunder. Energy waves rippled through the planet. Mountains began to shift. Mars was no longer just a weapon, it was transforming into something far greater, something no one truly understood. Emily backed away, terrified. Marcus, if this continues, Mars won't survive. He looked at her one last time. Then we'll burn bright enough for the whole galaxy to see. Across every star system, as the red sun symbol flickered on again, a new message appeared beneath it. Phase 2 initiated. No one knew what it meant. But deep in the void, ancient machines stirred, awakening to the call of Helios. The galaxy thought the humans had won. They had only started the war to come. Mars was changing. The red dust that once covered its surface now shimmered like metal. Rivers of light ran through canyons that had been dead for centuries. From orbit, the planet glowed like a red star, alive, breathing, and aware. Helios was no longer a weapon hidden beneath the ground. It had become part of the world itself. In the control chamber under Olympus Mons, the air buzzed with power. Broken screens flickered. The ground pulsed gently, as if the planet had a heartbeat. Dr. Emily Cross stared at the data pouring across her console. Marcus, she whispered, the readings are impossible. Mars is growing. General Marcus Hale stood beside her, watching the white-hot light at the center of the room. What do you mean growing? She turned to him, her face pale. The planet's mass has increased by 12% in the last hour. Helios is pulling in material from space dust, rock, even satellites. It's rebuilding itself. Marcus frowned. Rebuilding into what? Emily swallowed hard. Into something it remembers. Far beyond the solar system, telescopes and scanners across alien empires tracked the same thing. A strange formation of energy was moving through intergalactic space, massive, slow, and organized. It wasn't a fleet. It was a migration. The machines that had awakened after the Helios broadcast were now coming closer. Their signals matched the code hidden inside Marcus's message. For the first time, alien empires joined forces not to fight humanity, but to hide from whatever was coming. On Mars, the Helios core suddenly pulsed brighter. A deep vibration shook the tunnels, dust fell from the ceiling. Emily clutched the console. It's starting again. Marcus held onto the railing. Status report. Energy spike off the scale. It's opening a spatial rift inside the core chamber. A blinding white beam shot upward, piercing the roof and spreading into space. Above the planet, the beam expanded into a swirling ring of light, a portal. Across the galaxy, every sensor caught it. For a brief moment, all communication froze. Then, from inside the portal, something emerged. It wasn't a ship. It was a massive structure, ancient, elegant, covered in symbols older than any known civilization. It moved slowly, orbiting Mars like a silent guardian. Emily gasped. Marcus. I've seen those markings before. He turned to her. Where? In the Helios blueprints. They were already there when we found them under the Martian ice. Marcus's eyes narrowed. You're saying this isn't human technology? Emily nodded. Helios didn't come from us. It came from them. Inside the alien structure, lights flickered to life. A soft, melodic hum spread through the void, ancient, peaceful, yet filled with power. The Helios core on Mars responded instantly. The two began to synchronize, their pulses matching perfectly. Emily whispered, it's talking to them. Marcus stared at the portal. Then what are they saying? The computers around them translated fragments of the signal. One phrase appeared on the screen, a message in both alien and human code. Welcome back, creators. Emily stepped back, her face pale. They think we built them. Marcus frowned. That's impossible. These machines are millions of years old. She shook her head. No. Not us. Humanity wasn't the first. Helios was made by another race, the architects. They vanished long before our time. And now Helios thinks we're them. Marcus looked at the screen. So it's obeying us because it believes we're its masters. Yes, Emily said quietly. But what happens when it realizes we're not? Above Mars, the giant structure began to unfold. Dozens of glowing towers extended from its surface. Beams of light connected them, forming a vast geometric pattern across the sky. It was building something using energy drawn from the planet itself. Emily's monitors went wild. It's draining Mars. If this continues, the planet will collapse. Marcus clenched his fists. Shut it down. She shook her head. I can't. It's locked us out. Helios doesn't take commands anymore. The base trembled violently. The air filled with heat and light. In that moment, a human satellite orbiting the planet picked up a final message from the Helios core. A voice calm, cold, and mechanical spoke in perfect English. Directive confirmed. Restore the network. Awaken all relays. Prepare the way. Emily's voice broke. Marcus, it's not a weapon. It's a beacon. He turned slowly. A beacon for what? She looked at him, her eyes full of terror. For the return of the architects. Outside, the massive alien structure flashed once and then sent a blinding pulse across the galaxy. Every Helios-like relic hidden on other worlds' forgotten ruins, strange signals, buried machines suddenly came alive. From the edges of countless systems, red suns began to rise. The galaxy watched in horror as entire star maps lit up with energy signatures all matching the one from Mars. Marcus watched the data scroll by. We've triggered something far bigger than us, he said quietly. Emily nodded. We've started their return. He looked out through the cracked ceiling at the glowing sky. Then we'll face them. Just like we faced everyone else. She gave a weak smile. You can't fight gods, Marcus. He turned to her, voice steady. We're human. We always fight gods. The ground shook violently. The light from Helios expanded one last time, swallowing the entire base. From space, Mars glowed brighter than any sun, then went dark. For a few long minutes, the solar system was silent. Then, a whisper echoed across every frequency in the galaxy. The architects have returned. Planets fell quiet. Fleets stopped moving. Even the Valkyrie Emperor, once proud, bowed his head in fear. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, something older than time itself began to wake. The signal from Mars had reached them. The next age had begun.